Hi, everyone. So good to see you. Oh, this is such a pleasure to cook with you. Yes, so hi. This is Chef Melissa, and thank you so much for the introduction. And just like Rhonda say, that I grew up in Taiwan and then moved to Boston and cook with some celebrity chef. And so what kind of food that I like to cook, it's what I call global cuisine. So because I think what makes this country so beautiful is all the immigrants, they come here and they bring their cultural heritage and they create something new. That's what I call new American cuisine. So tonight's ramen is actually a collaboration between me and Chef Justin. Chef Justin used to be executive chef at Oak and Rowan, and also Craigie Young Man. And my cultural heritage, I grew up from Taiwan, and my mom is from Japan. So I really love miso and I love ramen. And Chef Justin has some German cultural heritage. And one day he just said, Mel, believe or not, I add some mustard to the ramen and it tastes so delicious. And I was like, really? And then, we did the recipe testing and it really tastes so good. It's a ramen, a bowl of ramen, pack of umami, and so easy for home cook to replicate. So this ramen, this recipe, you don't get it anywhere else, just here. So, I am very excited to share that. So first, before we start to cook, we need to get our mise en place ready. So mise en place is a term that we use in restaurant, and it's a French word. It means put everything in place. So first, I want everyone to make sure that you have your pots and pans ready. You have your ingredients ready, your chopping board tools ready. And the first thing we want to do is actually right here, I want to show you, is to, can everyone see here? It's here, you want to heat up the water, okay? So, because later when we cook, you don't want the broth ready, miso ready, veggies already, and then you realize, oh, I forgot to heat up the water to cook my ramen, So it's very important now, take a pot and heat up some water and bring it to boil. After it's boiled, then lower the heat to low heat. And so that way, later on, when you are ready, you just crank up the heat, your water will be ready and your ramen will be cooked in 2 minutes, right? That's very important. And then after that, the first thing we want to do is to brine our scallop. So I don't know what kind of scallop you get. If you're lucky, you can get the fresh scallop that's safe to eat raw. However, I was not so lucky today. So, I get a scallop that's not safe to eat raw. So we have to poach it. Okay, so now I want to quickly show everybody, the scallop you get, the first thing you want to do is you want to remove the feet. So can everyone see that, from this scallop, you kind of see there's a little attachment from it. That's called the feet of the scallop, and that feet will not taste good. So you kind of have to go through all of your scallop and you want to remove the feet like this, okay? And then set it aside. And like this one again, right? We see there's something like kind of attached to the scallop, a little thing that attached to the scallop. You want to remove that because that has a chewy texture that's no good, okay? And this one, again, right? We see there's a little something attached to the scallop. That's the feet of the scallop. You want to remove that. Okay, so now your scallop is all good. And I don't know how many scallop you get. It's totally optional. It really depends on how hungry you are. And here I have all my scallop, okay? And the first thing that we want to do is to brine our scallop. So according to our recipe, oh, by the way, if you have this will come very handy because later then when you want to cook the scallop, you just take this thing out. Then you can put it in the pot and you can start to cook it. So then for us to brine the scallop, you may want to have a bowl. It can be any kind of bowl. I have a stainless steel bowl. I'm going to put my scallop in the bowl. Okay. And then we will need 1 quart of water. And 1 cup water is actually 4 cup water. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to add the water to the scallop. Okay. And then we also need 1 tablespoon. This is 1 tablespoon of soy sauce. So just add the soy sauce to the water. And we also need 1 tablespoon of salt. Any kind of salt. Well, I wouldn't say so. Well, actually, I would suggest you just use a regular kosher salt. You don't need to use a truffle salt. Anything too fancy is not necessary. Just 1 tablespoon of kosher salt will do the work. Add it. And then you also want to have some garlic. It doesn't need to be finely minced garlic, just any garlic chopped like this will work. You can put it here. And we will also need some what I wrote is a lime, but you know, if you happen to have a lemon at home, you can also use lemon. And also there's one thing that I call, it's called Zen cooking style. So it's really, you know, whatever that's convenient for you. So I do have a lime at home, but guess what? Like today, my little girl also brings some leftover orange from her school lunch. So I'm just going to add it to my scallop and it will just enhance the flavor. So this is what I call Zen cooking style. It's really whatever you have. So for the lime, you want to slice your lime like this and just, you know, put it here. And I also happen to have some leftover orange. I'm just going to use it. Okay. So then you can put all the lime. Okay. And then the orange here. So I want to turn this here. So can everyone see I have the scallop, okay? And then the scallop, we have, you know, a quart of water. And then we also have some chopped garlic, leftover orange from my girl. And then, you know, 1 lime, 1 tablespoon of garlic, and 1 tablespoon of salt. And cooking is really all about time management, right? So whatever that's going to take most time, such as the water to cook the noodle, you want to heat up first. And it's also going to take some time to brine our scallop. So, you know, if you are not in a rush, you can even brine it for an hour. But anyway, you want to get those set up first. Then we are going to continue our mise en place, put everything in place, okay? So then we're going to set aside the scallop. Okay, after that, I'm going to just do some demo of knife skill. Well, actually first, why don't I talk about chopping board? So I don't know what kind of chopping board you have at home. If you have a chopping board like this, a plastic chopping board, and some of you might have a wooden chopping board, then I would say, you know, as a professional chef, I kind of recommend plastic chopping board because you can put it in dishwasher and it's very easy for you to sanitize. And some of you might have the chopping board that has a fancy silicone grip. They will prevent your chopping board from sliding on your countertop. However, if you just have a basic chopping board like this, do not worry, you can fix this problem easily. The tip is you're going to grab a paper towel and then you are going to make the paper towel a little bit wet. So you see my paper towel is a little bit wet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the paper towel on the countertop put the chopping board on top. And now my chopping board will not be moving, you know, it's not going to be sliding when I chop the veggies, okay? And now I want to show you the correct way to hold a knife. So sometimes I see students hold a knife like this. Sometimes I see students hold a knife like this. None of them is correct. The correct way to hold a knife is you have your thumb over here, your index finger over here, like this. The other hand is like an ABC, or you can say like a claw. So then that way, you don't cut yourself, okay? That is very important. And today we will have to cut some scallions, and I'm just gonna do a quick demo. So let's say when you have scallion, first you want to get rid of this part because you're not gonna eat it. Then, you know, you can do it like this, right? The way that I show you. Then you come out with some circle, okay? However, you say, hey, chef, I'm not here to learn the basic. I want to elevate my knife skill and I want to create a more decorative cut. Oh, I hear you. It is important because why? We eat with our eyes, you know, and whatever we cut has to look visually pleasant, right? So we can, you know, it's the same scallion, but just with a little tip, you can make it look like ribbon. Then it's going to look so cool when you put on your ramen. So I'm going to show you the tip. So I'm turned over here. Then you see, I make the angle different. Just turn it diagonal. And again, you see one hand, I'm just going to slide through like this. So, you know, sometimes we say, hey, Rhonda, why don't you go chop some vegetable? Actually, with a chef's knife, what you are doing is not chopping. What you are doing is actually just sliding, you know? So like I say, you have one hand, it's like ABC, and the other hand, you know, carefully slide through. And now, everyone, let me move this closer to you. Can you see, right? This is so much more decorative, right? If we compare this one, those looks like ribbon, right? With the little circle that I cut earlier before, right? Those look so much nicer, right? So whenever you want to create a dish, you can always think like a chef, right? What I can do will make my dish look more visually appealing, right? And you practice your knife skill, okay? I don't know if you have ever seen this. This is called bench scraper. If there is one thing that I cannot live without in the kitchen, it probably will be the bench scraper. This is like my American Express credit card. Never leave home. Oh no, never leave kitchen without it. I just always use this thing. I can use this to cut dough, to cut butter, but most important thing, what makes the professional chef different from a home cook is how organized when we cook. We cook with efficiency and we are always organized. So let's see. My chopping board, now I have the scallion. So I'm just going to quickly get everything on my bench scraper, and then I'm going to put it in a bowl. Okay. So if you have taken my class, from now on, you are going to cook with efficiency and always be organized, because we don't want to see anybody's chopping board full of veggie and you only have a tiny corner to chop. That's no good. Okay. You always want to keep yourself organized. All right. And then after that, you also want to get some prep work done with the cabbage. So this is the Taiwanese cabbage that I referred to. However, if you cannot get Taiwanese cabbage, just don't get the purple cabbage. You know, is it called, I forgot, ridicule or whatnot. Don't get that kind of cabbage. That won't work. You can either get Taiwanese cabbage that's a little bit sweet, or you can get Napa cabbage. So this is what Napa cabbage look like, okay? the reason we want to use Taiwanese cabbage was because when Chef Justin and I created this dish, usually in German, the sausage will be served with cabbage. So we thought, oh, we're going to do Taiwanese cabbage. So this one, you just want to chop like this. Okay, you kind of want to finely chop them. Okay, and just, you know, the amount is really depends on, you know, how much you love cabbage and how many people. For example, today I'm going to be cooking for myself, right? Today is a solo cooking. So I would say for myself, this is a good amount. All right. Then again, bench scraper. Then I'm just going to scrape. Oh, this is awesome. I see. Hey, Amanda, you got a Taiwanese cabbage. Ah, that's awesome. Okay, I'm so happy. I don't know where you found it. And also, you know, if you have the Taiwanese cabbage here, this part, you're going to avoid it. Okay. But anyways, I'm going to put my cabbage here in a bowl, use my bench scraper. So then that's all good. Then I think this one is optional. I don't know if it's in the package, but I also wrote about fish cake. If you can get fish cake, this is a very decorative element, and you see this in a lot of ramen shop. So the fish cake is actually made of fish paste, and they kind of put it in a mold, and then the texture it's smooth. So it's not like American crab cake, you know, it's not chunky, because the fish paste is smooth and it's delicious and very decorative. So, you know, I like to use fish cake in my ramen, but this thing is totally optional. And also, like I say, ramen it's a best dish to apply Zen cooking. So it's really, you know, whatever you have at home, you can put in, you know, if it go well, you can put it in your ramen. And of course, we're going to remove this, you know, because this is paper. Okay. And then I'm just going to slice my fish cake. So today, because I'm eating for one, so I think for myself, probably this amount of fish cake, maybe a little more. Okay, like this. Okay, I think for me, this amount of fish cake is enough. But really, it really depends on how much you like fish cake. You can decide how much fish cake you want. And later, we can also add some ginger when we create our broth. And I don't know how you peel your ginger. I don't know if you can guess what's the best tool to peel a ginger. Sometimes I see students peel a ginger with a knife. Sometimes I see students peel a ginger with a peeler. And guess what? None of them is the best tool to peel ginger, okay? So the best thing you can do, you can use to peel your ginger is, ta-da, is a spoon, okay? So I'm gonna show you. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this and you just, you know, use a spoon. And as you can see, you can get rid of the skin in no time. All right, super fast. And also it's gonna keep you safe, okay? So I don't know why today the ginger kind of makes me cry. All right, that's fine. So, you know, I'm just gonna quickly peel the ginger. As you can see, this is really fast and this is safe. So I highly recommend you use a spoon to peel your ginger. And I think everybody has a spoon at home. Also, you don't need to go buy a peeler or whatnot, okay? And as I mentioned before, it's so important that we work with efficiency and also keep your station clean all the time. So use a bench scraper, just quickly remove all the skin. So your chopping board is clean again. Okay. And to mince the ginger, I don't know if any of you have seen this. You can order this from Amazon, maybe $10. And This thing is very helpful. You can use it to mince ginger, but also if you have little baby at home, this is perfect to make baby food as well. So what I'm gonna do is, you see, you have this tool, and then you can just mince your ginger like this. Okay. See, then the ginger will be on the side. Okay. Then you can use them super fast, super efficient. This is what I like to use for ginger. All right. So yeah, so I don't know what everybody is in terms of mise en place, in terms of prepping. Let me see. Rhonda, do we want to kind of stop a little bit, or should I just continue to cook? I don't know where everybody is in terms of pace.
Right. I think you can go ahead and keep moving.
Okay, no problem. Then I will keep moving. All right. So now I'm going to switch our camera to my cooktop. Okay. So let me see.
Chef Melissa, I see a question from the chat that maybe you can answer.
Sure.
Someone asked, can you use minced ginger that comes in a jar?
Oh, yes, you can. I mean, I usually just prefer to use fresh one, but you know, whatever shortcut you can take. And if that will make you feel like to cook, then you should totally do it. You know, I'm not here to judge. I mean, so a lot of time, you know, a lot of professional chefs that will go hardcore, but I also think that's because in professional kitchen, you will have garmager, you have like line cook that dedicate the whole day just to keep chopping ginger or doing garlic. Like for me, I think for home cook, my approach is more like take it easy and just, you know, whatever you can use. If you're gonna cook more often, then, you know, definitely you should do it. And I don't know what kind of pan you guys have, but today, because I'm cooking solo, I'm cooking for myself. That's why I use this tiny pan. You see, it's just almost as big as my face. But if you are cooking for a whole family, that won't work, okay? You have to cook 4 times, you know, just get a bigger pan, okay?
I
And
have
do we have another question? Yes.
So before we jumped in,
Yeah.
the patron is asking if they are using tofu rather than scallops. Do they?
Oh, totally. Yes,
How,
I have.
How
Yes.
much do they need, or do they brine it the same way as the scallops to flavor?
Oh, that's a very good question. So I would say when it's tofu, then it really depends on what's your preference. I myself, I think the most flavor one and the easiest one is actually a kind of tofu. It's called egg tofu. Egg tofu, it's richer because, you know, they put egg when they make the tofu. Maybe later, well, actually, you know, I forgot, this is a Zoom class. I have access to my computer. Do you want me to find a link on Amazon now or do it later? I can also do it later. Or later we can share the link for the, you know, with the student. Anyway, I think that, oh no, that one you cannot order from Amazon, but I found it online. There's a look of that tofu. I highly recommend egg tofu. And also, you know, it depends on what kind of tofu you want to use. If you really like silk tofu, you know, that kind of tofu that's really soft, then you probably want to be very careful because it's not going to break. And if you want to use silk tofu, then maybe it will be helpful to prepare things that I use for the scallop. Just put your silk tofu in it when you cook it, so your tofu don't flow everywhere and later get broken, you know, and your broth. So
sure. Someone also asked if they
so
were
that's it.
If they
Yes.
use pork. Would there be any changes in the ingredients? Or do you want to save this question until later? It's up to you.
No, pork is totally fine. Pork is so delicious too. So the reason we use scallop, like I said, this is a fusion dish. And then, you know, the concept of New American cuisine is to bring your cultural heritage and use local ingredient. And Chef Justin, he really liked the seafood. He loved Nantucket based scallops. So he said, oh, we're going to use that. And I say, yeah, awesome. So then that's how we create this recipe. But as I say, ramen, you know, it's really a dish that, you know, we should apply Zen cooking philosophy. So if you love pork, you know, use pork, whatever you have in your fridge, that's fine. Yes. The only thing I would say, just what kind of pork you have. If you can get this pork, give me 1 second. If you can go to H Mart or hey Rhonda, what's the name of the Japanese supermarket in Brooklyn?
Maruchi.
Yes, yes. Can you share the link with everybody? Because if you go to those places, you will be able to get the pork that's already thinly sliced, then it's ready for you to cook in the broth. It takes, I would say, maybe maximum for this small pork and thinly sliced, maybe 2 minutes, you know, so very fast. Because if you have a big chunk of pork, I'm not so sure if the mouthfeel will taste good. But the other way is like most of the ramen store, they will cook pork separately. Then you will have to prepare your own char siu. And if you make your own char siu pork, then that's pretty time consuming because you have to make your own marinade overnight, and then bake it 420 degrees until it's done. How do you know if your char siu is done? You need this tool. This is another thing that I cannot leave without in my kitchen, like my Amex car. This is a thermometer. Okay, this one is called thermopan. This one will get the temperature of your meat. You know, you need to put this in the center and it will tell you the accurate temperature, maybe in a few seconds, and it's very accurate. The only thing not so wonderful about the thermopan is it's a little bit expensive. I think it's about $100 per thermopan. You know, that's why I have sticker. You know, I don't want any student to grab my thermopan. I'll be very sad. Okay, but this is a good investment. So if you make your own char siu pork, you're gonna, you know, bake it 420 degrees, and you constantly check the temperature. When I think the internal temperature should be around 160. I'm not so sure. I probably need to double check, but you know, bake it until it's done. So make char siu is one option, and the other option is to go to a good Japanese supermarket to buy the pork that's already thinly sliced and just cook it in your broth, like how you cook scallop. Both of them will work. Yeah.
Someone just popped another question about what is the fish cake that you cut. Can you get that at H Mart?
Oh, you can also get it from, you can get it in H Mart 100%. I just went there, but you can also get it from the Japanese supermarket. Did you share the link with everybody already? I
believe I put it an address of that in the recipe packet.
Oh, perfect. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, and if not, we can always add it at the end of the class, just so we can share everyone. That's in Brookline. I think probably will be most convenient. Oh, but the H Mart, there's another H Mart in Cambridge. It's not that far. So yes, you can get fish cake in Brookline. Yes. But no, in H Mart. I'm sorry. Do we have more questions?
That's it for now. So sorry to interrupt you.
No, this is totally fine. Yeah, because I think shopping sometimes is the most tricky part. So did you already do a supermarket tour with the?
No, we do not have a supermarket tour.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It's okay. In the future, if there's a need, we can make it happen. But now we're gonna dive in, make our ramen, even though the night is young. Sorry?
Yes, please.
Yeah, even though the night is young, I think I'm hungry, and I believe everybody's hungry too. And I'm actually glad that we have that little Q&A, because I hope everybody, if you're trying to cook at home, you already catch up with the prepping. Okay. All right. Awesome. So I hope your mise en place is done. Okay. Now we're gonna switch to my cooktop. I hope everybody can see what's happening. So, because this is a fusion dish, we are going to use a technique that's a Western technique that Japanese chef will never use. It's called deglaze. So deglaze, it's very, how to say, common for Western chef to do it. Deglaze means we are going to heat up butter. And also usually Japanese chef will not use butter to cook ramen. It's just, this is a fusion dish. So first we're going to heat up the butter, and we are going to put minced garlic and ginger, and we're going to stir until we, smell the aroma of our ginger and garlic. And then deglaze means you're going to pour the, if it's a Western chef, then they will use a white wine. And now, because this is a Japanese dish, you're going to pour sake. So then we're going to use sake to deglaze. And then after that, you want to make sure you have miso and mustard. For this dish, Chef Justin say we have to use 2 kinds of mustard. And this brand is called Maya. Is it Maille? Anyway, it's a French word. I don't know how to pronounce. This is the best brand. He always use it. He say if we can find it, we should always use it. So I always have those 2 in my fridge. And then we are also going to cook with miso. So if you go to a Japanese or Asian supermarket, you will see all different kind of miso. And sometimes you see white miso, brown miso, red miso. Miso is made of fermented soybean paste, and the color actually indicate how long it has been fermented. So a general principle is the darker your miso is, the longer has been fermented, then the flavor will be bolder. And I am not going to tell you which miso you should use, because you are the chef. You should be in charge. It really depends on how you feel, and also depends on the weather. Because if it's a hot summer, probably you use a white miso that's a little bit mild. But if it's a cold winter, you probably will go for brown miso or red miso, because it's bolder, it's a comfort food and it's super flavorful. So, it really depends on what you feel like to use. Okay, finally, no more talking, more cooking. All right. Oh, well, I will still talk a little bit here and there. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the pan. And then I have some butter. Okay, so I'm going to add the butter to the pan. Okay, so as you can see, my butter is melting. And I would say, medium heat will be just fine. So we are going to melt the butter. And sometimes some recipe will say, heat up your pan for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatnot. I actually don't like recipe to be written in that way. And I think it's pretty pointless, because the most important thing is how powerful your, your stove is. If it's a electric cooktop, it might be more powerful. Oh, no, less powerful. If it's a gas cooktop, the pan will heat up pretty fast, then probably doesn't take that long. So I have a gas cooktop. See, my butter all melt, and this is medium heat. The reason I usually go to medium, even, a little bit on lower side, is because garlic get burned pretty quick. So now I'm going to add my minced garlic and my minced ginger. I don't know how your kitchen smells like. Mine smells so good now. This is great. So now, I'm just gonna, stir this. Oh, smells so good. Okay. So then what I'm saying as deglaze is I'm going to take sake. I'm going to pour sake. Okay. So as you can see, we have a lot of bubbling. That's because the alcohol is evaporating, you know? And now we can also start to add some mustard. So we can add 1 teaspoon mustard. And then we can add another teaspoon of mustard. That's a smooth mustard. Oh, my kitchen seriously smells heavenly. Or maybe I'm just too hungry. Okay, and then we can also start to add some miso. So today, because the weather is still kind of cold, I feel like to have some brown miso. So just add it. Okay. And wow, I can see Jake. We have some cooking happening there. Awesome. Hey, you guys are doing great. Okay. So anyways, here, like I just want to use the, the spoon to melt the miso. Oh, Teresa is also cooking. Oh, wow. This is a good mise en place, I can see. Okay. So anyways, you see now I just use some, spoon to make sure the miso and then the mustard all melt. Okay. So now, because later I don't want to have a chunk of miso, or mustard just doesn't work, right? Okay. All right. So now when I see all my miso melt, mustard, everything melts nicely. I have some homemade stock. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour my homemade stock. And one thing very, very important is when it's savory cooking, instead of just follow the recipe, it's so important that you constantly taste your broth. Okay. So the people that I can see, Jake and Teresa, if your broth is ready, you should take a spoon and taste it, see if it's salty enough. Ah, mine is so good. If it's not salty enough, you can either, add a little more salt, or you can add more miso. It's really up to you because you are the chef. You are in charge of your ramen, okay? So you have to flavor it the way you like to. I add a little bit salt. I'm going to taste again.
Chef Melissa,
Oh,
I have a question here.
Yes.
Someone asked, are we supposed to use the hondashi?
Oh, yes, the hondashi. So the hondashi is a powder of bonito flake. So for me, I make my broth with a bonito flake. That's the katsubushi. So that one has a fish flavor. However, the shortcut, if you buy store-bought chicken broth or you have vegetable broth and you want to add some fish flavor, hondashi is how to say, it's a shortcut. Yeah, so you can always add some. And I don't have the package of the hondashi, but I do have hondashi at home, so I'm gonna add some and I'm gonna taste it. So a lot of time I would say it's really just a personal preference. Some chefs, they're really against hondashi. They say, how can you take shortcut? I think one time I was reading Chef Morimoto, Iron Chef, his cookbook, and he was so unpleased. He was not pleased if he see anybody who use hondashi. He think you should use bonito flake, katsubushi, make your own broth, go hardcore. but that's not my approach. I think for home cook, whatever works for you, you should do it. Okay, so now I add some hondashi. I'm gonna taste again. Oh, this is just perfect. Okay, awesome. So now this is really, I'm just gonna add all of my stuff in my ramen broth. So here I have my veggies. I have my fish cake. So colorful. I'm gonna add it. Feel free to add tofu, whatever. And I also happen to have some carrot. It's a Zen cooking, so whatever you feel like to, you can add it. And that's it. I'm gonna let this thing cook. Okay. And meanwhile, never forget about the ramen, right? Today, I think it's all about ramen. Of course, the broth is important as well. So then I'm gonna, the veggies are cooking. And now I'm gonna crank up the water. I'm gonna move my computer with me. When you cook ramen, you don't need to add any salt to water. It's not like Italian pasta. There's no need to salt your water. Oh, Teresa is tasting her broth. I hope it tastes good. Oh, thumbs up. Okay, I'm so happy for you. Okay, so here, as you can see, hey, can you see? Let's see, because maybe can you see bubbles? Anyways.
Yes, we can see the water.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's popping up vigorously. That's why I say mise en place is so important. When you cook, you really want to run the performance show, like there's no, how to say, intercession, right? So everything should always be ready. In terms of ramen noodle, I highly suggest you get fresh ramen noodle. However, there's also a brand that's made locally. You can get it from Wegman. It's called Sun Noodle. Sun Noodle is a ramen style noodle. It's very delicious. I got mine from H Mart. You can get fresh ramen from H Mart or from the Japanese supermarket in Brooklyn. And if it's a fresh ramen, it actually gets cooked really, really quick. So, you want to have a ton so you can make sure your ramen will not, will not stick. Okay. So we're just going to let the ramen cook. Okay. So now our veggies cooking. I think the veggies is all good. It's time for us to cook our scallop. And to be honest, it depends on how big your scallop is. My scallops are tiny. So I think maximum 2 minutes will be good. So as you can see, my scallop been brine beautifully, okay? So I'm just gonna put it here, cook it. So let me take my computer here. Everybody, I hope you can see. This is what's happening. So I am cooking the veggies, the scallop. I'm just gonna poach it. I'm gonna set a timer, 2 minutes. Timer 1, 2, okay? Then I think the noodle is gonna be ready in no time. So I'm gonna prepare for plating. As I mentioned before, we eat with our eyes. And I will be very happy if any of you will show me your end product with me later. But here, I'm going to do the demo. So you can use whatever ramen bowl you like. Sometimes in the restaurant, you see a ramen bowl like that. Today, I feel like to use some blue, it's really whatever I feel like to. And here, you need to have nori, that's the seaweed, to make the plating look nice. You are not going to use the full sheet of nori, so you can kind of fold it. like this. Okay, I think this is a good size. So then you see what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the nori, and as you can see, there's a shiny side of nori, a rough side. The shiny side should always face you, face the eater. Okay. Okay. So it should look like this. Okay. And then after you place your nori, you should take your ramen noodle out. Okay. So see, I have my ramen bowl here. I have my ton. Get a noodle out. Okay. Put the noodle here. Okay. All right. Just like this. Okay. Oh, my timer is on. Okay, perfect. I think the scallop is cooked. Okay, so I'm gonna continue plating. Remove the lid. Oh, the scallop is just beautiful. Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna now you need to use a ladle and just ladle the broth and everything you have to your ramen, right? So fish cake, veggies, a lot of veggies. Okay. Okay, and then scallop. Okay, and okay. So I don't know about you. Oh, Teresa already have a humongous bowl of ramen. It's so awesome. So here I want to let you see what's happening here. Right. So for me, here is the veggie, scallop, fish cake. And remember, we have some scallion we chopped before. So we can put it to garnish. If we want, we can always add more broth. Okay. Okay, and then just kind of arranged it to make it look nice, right? So I may want the fish cake to look more prominent, and then the scallop like this. Okay,